Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And I'm going to go quickly because I want to not lose you to the end. I want to show you the stark contrast between the East and the West towards the end. But I need to take you through the path that I have laid out here. And the first one is actually taking you all the way back to 2017. This is early 2017. When the first real-time international money transfer between Europe and Mexico occurred with BBVA using the Ripple technology. Now, BBVA, they had a huge kind of leak that came out today. They're one of Ripple's first big banking partners. They're the second largest bank in Spain. They have 74 million customers. And there was a source, an unnamed source, whispering into the ear of CoinDesk. And they are whispering that the bank is going to open a comprehensive digital asset service. Not so surprising, but what is surprising maybe is how fast the banks are diving in. Really. And CoinDesk is one of the credible media outlets in this space. They're not perfect. Actually, there's no perfect media anywhere in the world, but they are one of the better ones. They've gotten better over the years too. And I think that they really do have somebody who's talking to them. And the announcement officially is supposed to come out around Christmas. The solution is going to deal with cryptocurrency offerings and tokenized securities. And when they called BBVA, all they could get is, sorry, no comment. So one of those can't say yes, can't say no. We have a lot of those in this space. And one more announcement that I want to talk about is the Swiss Stock Exchange today announced an institutional digital asset gateway in 2021. This is big. You know why? This is going to give a path for banks to be able to offer the crypto services to their customers. And they're going to do this through the stock exchange and using the SIX digital exchange. Don't forget that. And also CustoDigit. Don't forget that, because I want to talk about those two entities. So giving these banks a service that they can build out is really important, because banks are losing those individual services like lending and like remittances. So they are scrambling to be relevant. Now, what I want to tell you is that that article that came out from the block was missing a very key component, and that is SBI also today announced a joint venture with SIX Digital Exchange in Switzerland, providing functions for issuing, trading, and storing digital assets for Singapore-based institutional investors. Now, why does this matter? This is what Brianne Madigan has told us is missing from the ability to get liquid enough for on-demand liquidity using the digital asset XRP to roll out. So this institutional investor is so key. Now, Mr. Kitao, he is in the middle of this explosion. I think he likes it that way. And he is laser focused on improving this liquidity. The SBI has a security solutions. I may not have showed you this very often, and you may not be aware of it, but they have been offering custody and digital payments, digital banking, blockchain as a service, all the way back. This was established in 2018. So he has been really one of the early adopters. And what's interesting is you'll find two different quotes on here, one from the Bread CEO, who is going to be on a linked to presentation. I get the feeling he's getting ready to go public. Yeah, I really do think that's what is happening there. And then there's David Rudder here, the CEO of R3, and they're both giving kind of their testimonials, if you will, on the SBI Security Solutions website. So it's a full service. And what Mr. Kitao is doing, who is the largest outside shareholder of Ripple and is probably the best champion of the digital asset XRP, he's also behind the initiative to do the swap trade market using the digital asset, and of course doing remittances with Sumitomo Bank and FX Coin. He pays his shareholders out in dividends in XRP. He pays the esports professional players in XRP. He has received an investment from Ripple to expand MoneyTap out to the international market and to use XRP. I mean, nobody is really working in so many different corners of this space to promote the digital asset XRP. So the other name I told you, don't forget, is CustoDigit, right? Sygnum Bank, which I talked about yesterday, they are that blend of Swiss and Singaporean culture to bring the digital assets to institutional investors. They're promoting the digital asset XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. I played a portion of that video. They are the co-founder of CustoDigit. And Sygnum and SBI just recently in October announced that they have a big fund together to identify new opportunities for blockchain distributed ledger technology with this fund. And yeah, he is really going to bring these banks to the table. So we know that the BofA, who is a Ripple partner, they filed for a cryptocurrency patent this last summer, and Standard Chartered, another Ripple partner, officially announced their crypto custody offering this last August, right? So now we have BBVA. I'm telling you, the banks, the big banks are doing more than just leaning in. They are diving in. And talk about diving in. I want to talk about the G7. This is when Germany, US, France, England, Canada, Japan, and Italy all got together with the Secretary Mnuchin, who was the chair, and then they discussed with the finance ministers and the central bank governors just in the last 24 hours. And yes, there was an official communique that came out from Mnuchin's office, and they talked about crypto currency. And it was just, the communique was so short. Look at this. But in the highlighted area, you can see that there's a strong support across the G7 on the need to regulate digital currencies. Ministers and governors reiterated their support for the G7 joint statement on digital payments issued in October. So they're getting there. I mean, some aspects of this space is moving so fast, and some aspects are moving so slow. I want to just chime in really quick on what I think. Now, I could be wrong, but there's a lot of hype happening with the coming announcement from Brian Brooks, who is the he's the head of the OCC. And whatever he says in terms of clarity is going to be good for the digital asset XRP. I don't doubt that at all. But I don't think it's going to have anything to do with being a security or not. That information is going to come from the SEC, not from the OCC. What I think is going to come in this particular announcement in 6 to 8 weeks, and just hear me what I think. I don't know, and I could be wrong, but I think Brian Armstrong from Coinbase had a little birdie in his ear and told him about something that's coming down the pike, and that is the rules and regulations regarding self-custody wallets. I think it's going to get very, very difficult to turn your crypto into fiat if you are moving it from a self-custody wallet. I think that is some of the regulation that's going to be talked about, and also probably a little more detail on stablecoins. Now, when Brian Brooks said that it's not as bad as everyone might think, and he did say it would be good, well, I think it just depends on on where you are in this space. If you are working with the system, it's probably going to be very, very good. If you're working against the system, it's not going to be so good, I don't think. So I went searching for other news coverage, and I was looking, in Brazil and in France for what this take was on the G7. And I found something in the Saudi press was really interesting. There was a statement made from Germany's finance minister, Olaf Scholz, and he had some very sharp words. His words at that meeting were the concerns about authorizing the launch of Facebook's Libra currency, newly renamed Diem, in Germany and Europe. Quote, "A wolf in sheep's clothing is still a wolf," he said. "It is clear to me that Germany and Europe cannot and will not accept its entry into the market while the regulatory risks are not adequately addressed." And he added, brace yourself for this one. "We must do everything possible to make sure the currency monopoly remains in the hands of states." Wow. That is some statement, because I think no way, it's impossible to stop Facebook. And that working with the system goes both ways. And they have to work with Facebook. Yes, they are having to maybe rename themselves again because there is a company who claims that they already had the name Diem. And that's okay. They might rename, but a new name is not going to stop Facebook. And in their soft launch that they had in October, where they preceded the market, they were able to amass 500,000 followers on their Instagram in that just short period of time. And if you do block them out, if you don't work with them, you're going to find that people go over, under, and around in ways that you don't necessarily can control if you don't work with Facebook. Now, I'm not condoning anything that they do or anything that they've done. I'm just saying that in the space of cryptocurrencies, it requires cooperation because the genie's out of the box, as some people say. And it's true. You have to work within now the cryptocurrency system, or you are going to be left out. That is really the true statement. And oh my gosh, I felt so sad when I saw this picture. This is what Mnuchin tweeted out with his comments about what they discussed in the meeting. And there he is sitting at this fake wood laminate folding table with sheets of paper and sitting in a cheap rolling chair with some flags behind him. It looks like 1960. And maybe it was just because I had finished watching the head of the Hong Kong Monetary Authority announce that they were going to begin doing demos with China in their cross-border payments with the digital renminbi. I mean, they are not slowing down at all. China is now shoring up all these other countries in the East to work with them, and they are doing so. I want to just show you a sharp contrast. This is the person who's coming from the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. This is actually a keynote from a month ago, but you'll be able to really see how not only fast they are moving, but you'll be able to see the strong contrast too. This is Eddie Liu. He has been working really hard with CBDCs in Hong Kong. He's been already through lots of trials with the Bank of Thailand. He talks a little bit about that in here, but really talks about how they are rolling out this multi-CBDC rail throughout all of, I'm sure, countries that are going to work with them. Have a listen.
As a leading international financial center, Hong Kong should always be looking to enhance cross-border banking too. As any of you who have ever made an international remittance will know, The correspondent banking system we have today is far from perfect. In fact, it is inefficient, costly, and opaque. The central banking community understands these issues, so the Bank for International Settlements has set up a specific task force to study how we can apply technology to improve cross-border banking. And the HKMA is one of the leading central banks in this initiative. We are collaborating with the Bank of Thailand to explore the potential of a blockchain-based central bank digital currency network with a view towards more efficient cross-border payments. We have already developed a proof of concept prototype that will enable real-time cross-border fund transfers on a peer-to-peer basis. In the next phase, we are exploring business use cases such as cross-border trade settlement and capital market transactions. We will soon bring banks and large corporations into trials to test the network using actual trade transactions. Looking into the future, further studies will be undertaken to extend the architecture to a multi-CBDC platform. Leveraging the wholesale CBDCs on this platform, e-wallet service providers may be able to offer retail use cases such as remittances and cross-border payments for travelers within the region.
Wow. Yeah. So the news that came out today that they are going to work with China in testing this cross-border payments with the digital renminbi just shows you, too, how quickly they are going. All right, everybody, we're going to jump to a little fluff. So what was actually yesterday, the announcements came out for the Michelin restaurants, the ones that got stars in Tokyo. And I don't know how many were awarded this year. In years past, Tokyo has had more Michelin star restaurants, either 1-star, 2-star, or 3-star combined, more than Paris, London, and New York City combined. Yeah, so Tokyo is really an amazing place for food. and they even have ramen restaurants and izakayas. Izakayas are pubs. They have really expanded their Michelin star. It's not so much just the luxury, $300 plate type places. They are incorporating now places that you can go to and have a meal for $10. Yeah, and they are issuing stars for these kinds of B gourmet. They have a new class of category. And also another new category, first one ever, and it just shows you how strong the green initiative is. They have this new green star, and it is restaurants that are doing well in their sustainability. So interesting, right? How loud this voice is getting. And this is Western Japan. I think I've said on numerous occasions how mountainous Japan is. I think it's 70% mountainous, and that's why you see this concentration so often of cities in just a handful of places actually around the country, because much of the landscape is very difficult to build on. But it's very beautiful. This is near the Shimane area. It's on the coastal side, but on the west side, so it faces the Sea of Japan. And it has a town that discovered silver 400 years ago. And they mined that silver for those 400 years. This is what they call koban. This is what it looked like. You can still find these, they're collectibles now. And this town, next to the mining town, has remained unchanged and now preserved as a historical site. As so many kind of boom towns, as it happens, it's happened, if you go through the West, Oregon, Washington, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, you can find these towns that were in the gold rush era, or the mine, copper or silver, and then when when the mining is over, everyone just moves out and they're gone. Well, this is what happened to this town in Omori, but they have, of course, rediscovered themselves now, and they are being preserved, and the whole town itself is like stuck in a turn of the century look with its streets and its buildings, and it's just fantastic, right? So it's very popular to go to. What I want to point out, though, if your eye hasn't noticed, is this structure on the corner. It's a vending machine, and the vending machine has had a handmade cover so that it blends in with the environment. Yeah, you can still see the Coca-Cola logo. I don't know if it's visible enough to keep Coca-Cola happy, but I thought that the addressing the sensitivity to the actual town to cover the vending machine like this was so smart. And it reminded me that if you ever go to Sedona, Arizona, with the big red rocks that they have very much taken the same approach. They have made very strong restrictions on the businesses as to the size of the signage they can have, the colors, and everything must blend in so that it doesn't distract your eye away from the gorgeous red rocks. So I think it's very, very clever, and I thought I wanted to share that with you. All right, everybody. Yes, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.